Hello, in this video I'm going to be sharing with you 3 ways that I overcame my fear of rejection and give you some tips if you're struggling with the thought of getting up in front of people. Now, I certainly had a massive fear of public speaking. I am a natural introvert. I don't particularly like the spotlight. I don't like being the center of attention. There was even a joke when I was younger when I'd walk in the room and my family would look at me as I walked in and I'd be like, "Don't look at me. Don't look at me." And it was just this kind of family joke of like, "Oh, we're not allowed to look at her. She doesn't like it." So I literally had to overcome this. It was a true fear. It wasn't just oh, I just don't want to do it. It was literally a true fear. And I remember the first time I gave a presentation, I was 22 and I was in this boardroom and my boss asked me to give a presentation to this boardroom of people, and it was just like my worst nightmare. I was sweating so much, my knees were literally knocking together. I couldn't control it. I had no control of my body. It was just hideous. And so I put off doing it again for a while, but then I realized like I was actually holding myself back. It's like a ball and chain to my success if I didn't overcome it. And it's interesting, when I started presenting on topics that I love, that I really wanted to talk about, it was a whole different story. And I had to work through the mindset of it, because the whole thing of fear of public speaking is a mindset. You're having a thought about yourself that's not true. And there are 3 main thoughts that we have about ourselves that stop us from being a presenter or from speaking or for wanting to speak in front of a group. The first one is a fear of judgment. So we feel that people are going to judge us, and because we hate being judged by one person, let alone a whole big group of people, it's actually fear of mass judgment that is almost like heightens the whole thing. And we fear that people are going to be thinking that we're not good enough, that we're not smart enough, that we're an imposter. Like, who is she to be talking about this? She doesn't know everything about that subject. She doesn't have a university master's degree on this. And it can really hold us back if we think that, because the fact is that no one knows everything about a topic. Even the people with the PhDs and people that have done things for 50 years, they don't know every single thing about that topic. So that is a massive lie that we tell ourselves to protect ourselves. All of these fears are actually just lies that your brain comes up with, like little stories to stop us doing something scary. That's what's actually going on. Your brain is trying to think of anything to tell you to stop you doing this thing, because if you've not done it before, if you haven't done a lot of it before, or you've done it and had a bad experience, let's say you did a speech in school and people laughed at you, or your teacher embarrassed you, then you've got that negative feeling attached to not belonging to a group. And if that happened to you when you were younger, that's quite powerful, but we can overcome that. We can definitely overcome that. It's just a story we made up when we were 7 years old or 12 years old. So we don't have to let our past limit our future. Because the fact is, if we don't learn how to present, we're going to really struggle to attract clients, because people who want to work with you, they want to hear what you have to say. They want to know if they can know you, like you, and trust you before they actually part with money. So if you don't know how to get on video and confidently present a message, know how to communicate your value, if you don't know how to get up in front of people and have those opportunities wake up for you, because doors will open when you learn the skill of presenting, then you're just going to miss out on so much, and you'll probably never even know everything you've missed out on, because you just won't even see those opportunities. But if you're ready, if you're prepared, if you follow a formula, if you follow a structure, then you're going to be way less nervous and care less about people judging you. So really the antidote to judgment is preparation, because it is all mindset. It all starts with mindset, but there's some practical things we can do to overcome that as well. And one is getting prepared. Because if we're really prepared and we present from the heart and we have a good structure and we have a good flow, then we're going to have a good experience speaking. We're going to get good feedback, and we're going to want to do it again, because our brain was like, wow, that was easier than I thought. I didn't die. Let's do it again. And then you do it again and you get a little bit better, and you'll do it again and you get a little bit better. And every single time you do it, you'll get better and better and better, and your confidence will grow. The problem is that beginning part before you've got your confidence, right? So what we need to do for that is actually use our mindset, because your brain is very, very powerful. It's powerful at talking you out of doing it, but it's also very powerful in talking you into doing it. And I'm going to talk about 3 ways you can do that. The second thing that you might be worried about speaking in public about is coming across as arrogant. Now, I've had people say this to me before. Who do I think I am? Like, who do I think I am coming across as this expert authority? Like, there's so much that I don't know. And people are going to think that I'm really cool, or that I think I'm so smart and I'm all that. And it's just, again, just a lie that your brain is telling yourself to stop you doing it. So feeling like, you're going to come across as arrogant or a know-it-all, or, there's this whole thing about not wanting to blow your own trumpet, right? And it's quite prevalent in Australia. That whole tall poppy thing, tall poppy syndrome is real. It's a real thing that actually happens. So we don't want to come across as like, oh, I'm all successful and I've made it, So we play ourselves down and we come across as humble. And humility is fantastic. We have to use humility. In fact, we have to use it in our talks, in our presentations, because otherwise people will switch off and they'll look for our weaknesses. People polarize. So if you go, oh my gosh, I'm amazing, I've done this, and you've got all this massive energy talking about yourself, people will polarize and they will look for your weakness. But if you're just really real and authentic and honest and say, I don't know everything, I don't have it all together, I'm far from perfect, but I'm presenting you what I do know, and I have been so blessed to have learned a few things and packaged them up in a way that I can teach you, then people will be really a lot more receptive to it. And the third mindset block, which is really a fear that people have when it comes to public speaking, is a fear of rejection, which really goes hand in hand with the judgment, but we actually think that people are going to reject us. And this could happen at a really unconscious level. Like, this could happen without us even really rationally thinking about it. It's just that we don't want that mass rejection. We don't want to be laughed at. Some people cannot bear the thought of humiliation and shame. But actually, that's just a feeling. Like, it's just a feeling in our body. We've all experienced it. All emotions, they come in like a wave and then they disappear again. It's actually not a big deal. It's not a big deal to feel rejected, because the reason it's so strong in us sometimes is because this primal thing about, if I'm alone, then I might not survive. It's really outdated. It's coming from the hind part of our brain, which is not evolved fully yet. It's what's known in psychology as our hind brain, or our reptile brain, or our lizard brain. So you've probably heard those terms. And it literally is just there to keep us safe. So it's like, if you are alone, if you get mass rejected, you won't be able to find food. But the thing is, we have supermarkets now. Have you ever been to a supermarket by yourself? Of course you have, right? So food is available everywhere. We've just got to show that older part of our brain, the hind brain, using our very intelligent prefrontal cortex, that we are safe, that no one's going to die, that even if we do get rejected, and I like to think of the worst case scenario sometimes, that I can handle it, that I can actually survive that and be totally fine. And it's never happened, and it will never happen that a whole massive group of people will reject you. You have to do something pretty terrible for that to happen, and that's not going to happen to you. So it's a rational fear, irrational fear. So it doesn't make sense. So it's just, again, your brain trying to keep you small, trying to keep you safe. But the thing is, I love that quote by Coco Chanel. She says the most courageous act is to think for yourself aloud. To think for yourself aloud. So you're not just thinking, oh, that's interesting, oh, that's helpful, and you're just thinking it. You're actually sharing it. You're thinking it out loud for people to have an opinion on, and potentially reject you, potentially judge you, potentially think you're coming across as arrogant. But that's what courage is. Courage is not waiting to not feel fear. Courage is acting despite the fear. So this is my tip number 1 of how I overcame my fear of public speaking was taking action despite fear. So that's my first tip. Take action despite fear. The fear's not going to go away. It's always going to be there until you do it. And the more you do it, the fear just gets less and less and less. It's like when you start, the fear's up here. Second time it's dropped, third time, fourth time, fifth time, and every time you do it, it gets less and less and less. Now I don't get any fear come up at all, zero fear, unless I'm doing a big presentation and the stakes are high, because my brain doesn't know in that situation if I'm going to survive. It knows that in smaller workshops and in these size workshops, I've been fine, I've done it before. But if you think of your comfort zone, your brain will only throw out fear if you're pushing outside of the comfort zone. So if I was going to speak to 1,000 people, I would definitely get some fear come up because I haven't done that. And there's kind of like a limit to, you speak in public all the time. You speak in public, to people all the time. It's just that if you're positioning yourself as the expert, as the authority, as the leader, and you haven't got a lot of experience doing that, then that's outside of your comfort zone, and that's why the fear's coming. So the fear doesn't exist once you do it and you're fine and you survive. And so we push our comfort zone, push it out, push it out, push it out, and then it just gets bigger. Our life gets bigger, our business gets bigger, we get braver, we get bolder, and it only comes by doing it. It doesn't come by thinking about it, knowing about it. It just comes by doing it. So you've got to just take that action despite fear, and you've got to prepare well. You've got to make sure that you've practiced and you've prepared and you've done everything that you can, and then know that it's not going to be perfect. Your first one's probably not going to be amazing, but it can still help people. My first one, I think there's 4 people there. I was at Les Mills Gym in Auckland. Everyone sat on those old school Reebok steps, and I just presented what I knew. I hadn't learned the formula. I hadn't had any speaker training. I would say that I was not very good at all. This is a long time ago. This is probably 2005, something like that. And people still got helped, even though it wasn't perfect. I started running little seminars in my local library, and I still hadn't had any speaker training, but people still say to me, that was really helpful. You taught me this, you taught me that. So even though I wasn't a polished professional speaker, and still am not, people still get help. So it doesn't matter. So you've just got to take that action anyway. The second thing that helped me overcome my fear was to focus on my message, not on myself, on my message. You only have that stress and that fear, debilitating you as if you think it's all about yourself. It's not. It's actually not about you at all. It's about the message coming through you. So you've been given a message. You've been given gifts. You've been given basically a genius zone that you know stuff that other people don't know. You've got a unique way of sharing it. You've got unique stories, unique experiences, unique knowledge, skills, and you're just basically sharing what you've been given. When I think of it like that, I just want to share and share and share. It's kind of like paying it back. Thank you for that. I got to receive all this knowledge and all this, things that I didn't deserve necessarily. The things that we're born with, our natural giftings, we didn't necessarily deserve them. Then we've gone on and done our due diligence and done our training and invested. I've invested over $100,000 in my brain, but that doesn't mean that it's all about me, because I've learned from all these other people. I've put my own slant on it. I've trialed and errored and, been through that process so I can save people time and money. But it really isn't about people getting up and, going, oh, it's all about Kat. Look, it's not the Kat show. It's she's got something that can help me. So you guys are listening to my message because you're thinking, how can I relate it to my life? How can I take those tips to my life? And it's the same with your audience. They're going to be thinking, oh, I can do that. Oh, she's done that and she did that and that worked. Oh, I'm really inspired now. So you're going to inspire them, educate them, entertain them, bring you, because you is already amazing. You don't have to learn how to be you. You already know that. And you just need to learn the formula, which is what I'm teaching you. Basically, you're running out of excuses is what I'm really saying, is that all the things that your brain is throwing up, that's fear. It's just all excuses. It's just all stories. It's all make-believe. and you just need to do it anyway. So number 2, focus on the message. Number 3 is to focus on your why. Focus on your why. So you're going to get fear come up. You're going to, if you're doing something you've never done before, or at the level you've never done it before, or there's someone in the crowd that's never been in the crowd before and you really care about their opinion, or whatever it is, why your brain throws it up. It's just new to your brain. You want to get really grounded, really grateful, because gratitude is the most neutralizing emotion you can have. It's very centered. So I just put my hand on my heart. I usually put one on my stomach, and I just breathe. I just breathe into it, slow the heart rate down. So I do long exhales, and I just go, oh, hello expansion, hello growth. I don't call it fear. I don't call it stress. It's not. It's expansion. It's your body showing you that you're actually doing something quite important. So whenever I get that feeling, I'm like, oh, hello. And I've reframed it really fast to be expansion. It's me expanding. That heart pounding is me expanding. It's me getting out of my comfort zone. It's me becoming a bigger, better version of myself. So I celebrate it, but I focus on my why. When I'm doing that, okay, why is this important for me to share it? Because it's going to help people save time. It's going to help people save money. It's going to help people save their relationships, their sanity. I just go through all the reasons why it's important for me to share that message. I go through why it's important that people receive that message. I go through why it's important for my life to change by being the brave, bold version of myself that I want to be. I think about the benefits. I think about why I do it. I want to make a massive impact. I want to impact millions of people. This is part of the bigger vision, the bigger mission. So I get out of the detail, out of the fact that I'm on in 5 minutes and I have to have my speech, ready to go. Get out of that detail, and I just go really big picture, and I think about my why. My why is attached to legacy. It's attached to making a big difference. It's attached to helping release people into freedom, the freedom that they really want, the lifestyle they want. So really, it's not about how we feel, because we can't just act on our emotions. Our emotions are like this, right? And our thoughts create our emotions. So if you're feeling a certain way, you've got to think, what is the thought behind that? What's the thought that's driving me to feel that way? And if you look at the 3 main fears, the judgment, the fear of arrogance, the fear of rejection, they are all just because of our thoughts, like what we might be thinking that someone's thinking about us, right? So we can control our thoughts, and therefore we can control the way we feel. Doesn't mean that our heart's not going to race and then we just get those physical feelings. That's going to happen. That's normal. But if we don't do things that we kind of don't feel like doing, like I don't always feel like doing a video or doing a live or running a webinar. I don't always feel like it. It's not about, I'll wait and see if I feel like it today. It's not about that, because if we just wait till we feel like it, we'll just wait the rest of our lives. We'll wake up a year from now and just wish we'd done it. We'll be disappointed. We'll regret it. And to me, disappointment and regret are hands down my least favorite emotions, because we can't change them. We can't control them. It's all focused on the past instead of focused on the future. So I would rather have the fear of going into a live video or a live webinar or a live workshop. I would rather feel that fear, even though it can be very scary, than wake up a year from now and feel disappointment, regret, shame. You can't feel shame by doing your best. Like, you can only feel shame if you are telling yourself that you're not good enough. No one can put shame on you. You can only feel it yourself if you allow your thoughts to lead to that feeling by telling yourself, I messed up, I made a mistake, I'm a failure, all those things. So just get really honest with yourself. If you know that you've got something to share, you've got a message that's important, that's valuable, that's meaningful, and I know that you do, I'm looking you in the eye, I know that you do, then it deserves to be out there in the world. I know it can be scary, I know it can feel hard, but you can absolutely do it, and it's worth it, I promise.